Today, FBI whistleblower finally comes forward and says that there were in fact feds on the ground on January 6th. The Durham report comes out and is damning against our federal government, basically saying that everybody knew that everything to do with Trump Russia was fake. Conservatives finally figure out what war in the culture war means. And articles of impeachment have been submitted for Joe Biden, with more to come. All that on today's After Work podcast. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the After Work podcast. Forgive me for sounding all stuffy. I guess I worked out too hard the last couple days, and now my body's like, hey, you need to calm down. So, I am stuffy. Forgive me for that. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in to our first set of stories today. Apparently, the conservatives have figured out what the war in culture war means. So, ever since the Bud Light controversy, massive amounts of people have been scouring the internet, finding old ads from other companies. Ads that some of them tried to scrub. In the case of Miller Lite, they tried to scrub an ad from the internet about basically feminism and wokeness. Unfortunately for them, everything on the internet lives forever. So, people are now mad at Miller Lite for this controversial ad. So let's take a look at this ad right here, and you tell me what you think about it, and whether or not you think that it's controversial or not.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow. Look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up not just their but the whole beer industry's Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers. Literally, good How, you ask? Ladies, take it away.
First, we turn the bad into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer.
That good helps farmers grow quality hops,
which is then donated to women brewers to make their own really good
But there's definitely more out there. In your attic, in the garage, in your parents' basement. Send any you got into Miller Lite, and they'll turn that into good too. Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
I don't even know where to begin with this one. So first she makes the claim, or Miller makes the claim, that women are the ones that primarily did all the brewing throughout history, and that is just unequivocally false. Are women the ones that would go out with a scythe and till the fields and cut down all of the crops? No, they weren't. That was men, okay? Women mostly stayed at home and tended to the household and children. That's not to say that there were no women that did stuff like that, but by large, it was men that did that stuff. Today, the industry is mostly run by men. In addition to that, the customers of Miller are men, mostly. Because here's the thing. Men are the type of creatures that acquire terrible tastes just to be tough, which is why people drink beer, okay? Because I can tell you right now, beer does not taste good. Beer tastes like crap. And why anyone drinks it, I have no idea, okay? But it's an acquired taste. Every person I've ever talked to that drinks beer says it's an acquired taste. But for some reason, men want to acquire it. I don't know why. So, that claim at the end where she's like, oh, without women, there'd be no beer. No, there would be. Most definitely would be. Okay? Because a woman did not, look at something rotting and fermented and decide, I think I can turn that into a drink. Okay? That was definitely a guy. Second of all, I think it's like 97% of all farmers are like men. So, today. So, just the notion that women on average are the ones who brew, the ones that did brew, the ones that tilled the fields. Just it's just an unrealistic idea on its face. Second of all, so they're saying that they're going to buy back these old ads and turn it into compost? Why on earth would I drink your beer then? Because what you're telling me is I'm going to buy back all of these ads from countless amounts of newspapers and cardboard cutouts and all this stuff that's got tons of chemicals in it, ink. I mean, have you ever taken magazine pages and burned them in your fireplace? They burn like weird colors, like blue and green, and like because of the chemicals in them. And you're telling me that you want to grow the hops that are put in beer with chemical laden items, and you expect me to want to drink your beer that I know now I know has a ton of chemicals in it. Not just it might, I don't know, but now I know it does. Why on earth would I drink any of your beer knowing that? So this ad all around is just, first of all, it's terrible because it's woke, saying that, you know, they tend to do this thing where they turn around and they go, "Oh, well, see this thing that men did? Men created all the inventions for modern day brewing. They're the ones that did all this stuff. Well, women, we did it too. They do this 'we did it too' thing all the time." And then, of course, what was with all this swearing? Like, every time I hear a woman in an ad or as a comedian swear a whole bunch, it feels forced. Like they're trying so hard to be funny, but they know that they can't be. Like I don't understand. Like it was just too much. In addition to the fact that they bleeped it out like every time. Like most ads with dudes who were to swear or whatever would have it once or twice. This one had it like repeatedly throughout the entire ad, and it just by like the fourth or fifth time, it was just getting annoying. So this was just a terrible ad. So of course, when the Bud Light controversy hit, Miller took this down immediately. But of course, everything lives on the internet forever, and so yeah, I mean, this ad came out, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before the Bud Light controversy hit. And so they took it down and all that. But, of course, conservatives are now starting to get the idea. Okay, they're starting to get the idea of we got to play the culture war game. We have to do what the left has been doing. Go back in the past, find the things we don't like, point them out, and bitch about it. Okay, because we've been playing this like niceness game where we don't engage in cancel culture, we don't engage in all of the tricks of the left. And here's the problem with that: you can't win if you don't fight the same way or similar. Okay, everyone's like, "Oh, well, dude, I don't believe in cancel culture, and I don't believe that blah 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 blah." Okay, it doesn't matter anymore whether or not you believe it or not, because it's being used against you. And if you don't do something at least similar, then you're not going to win. And boycotting companies for their views and their political views is not cancel culture. Cancel culture would be going after an individual or a small group of people, trying to get them fired from their jobs, trying to dox them, trying to make it so they can't work in the industry ever again. This is not that. This is just not buying something because you don't like what they stand for. Way different. Similar, but different. So, don't buy Bud Light, don't buy Miller Lite, and don't buy Ford. Because an ad has resurfaced from about a year ago, I want to say. That ad that Ford put out is a Pride ad. So we're going to take a look at that, and you'll see what I mean. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, besides that little opening there, looks like a normal Ford ad for the Raptor. And you'd be right. You're like, oh yeah, it basically looks like a regular ad for the Raptor. And I thought when I first saw this commercial, I was like, oh yeah, it just looks like a regular Ford ad. Okay, that's enough of that. So then, so Ford gets tons of backlash from this. So don't buy a Ford Raptor because you'll get laughed at for driving a gay truck. Don't drink Miller Lite or Bud Light because you'll get laughed at for drinking a gay beer. Of course, Ford did this like a year ago, so it's only now surfacing again because conservatives have finally gotten the idea that they need to make a statement to companies and say, hey, cut it out. Stop it, okay? And it's funny because actually let's go back to the video. I think it's right towards the yeah, right there. So you saw right at the end there. It goes redefining tough. Yeah, because that needed redefining. I don't understand what their idea was. Like, oh, we have to make tough like Ford tough instead of Ford tough. Now we gotta be like Ford tough. Like, why? Like, you know how many times I go to the gym and there's probably gay guys there and I have no idea because they look the same as any of the other guys working out because tough is tough. There's no difference between tough and tough except for the obvious, which is the sexual orientation of that person. So they didn't need to cater to pride at all in this way. They could just be like, yeah, it's Ford tough. But instead, they went the woke route, and now it's coming back to bite them in the ass a year later. Because people are like, you know what? We didn't realize that all these other companies did crap like this. So we're going to shut that shit down. We are going to go after them for this Ford Tough BS gay campaign. We're going to go after Miller. We're going to go after Bud Light. And quite honestly, good. It's time to stop with this crap. Okay? Nobody should care what your sexual orientation is or, what you do in your private home. But when you start throwing it in everybody's faces, when you start making it to the point where I have to use certain language, otherwise I'm a racist, sexist bigot because I don't subscribe to your ideology, why? In addition to that, why do companies feel the need to push political viewpoints? Like, dude, I just want a beer. I just want to buy a truck. I don't give a damn about anything to do with politics or any of that. Like, just sell me a good truck or sell me a good beer, you know? So it doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, that's the woke mob for you, okay? Anyway, moving on from the culture esque portion of this, let's move on to something that's a little more serious. So, the Durham report came out, and it revealed massive amounts of corruption in our government. You know, we all knew that there was tons of corruption in our government, but it wasn't confirmed yet. Now we know that just no Americans have trust in government, and we have a reason why. So, let's go to this. Let's go to this article from Fox News, and I'm using Fox News because all the other ones kind of put a spin on it that made it seem like this report was not that bad, and it is that bad, and it needs to be recognized as such. So, who's going to trust the Justice Department now? No one. In the wake of Special Counsel John Durham's long awaited report, Americans now know there was a widespread political collusion and deliberate deception from the very top of the Obama administration, the Clinton campaign, and the corporate media and the Department of Justice, all in favor of the Democrats. Not only did they abuse their power and lie to the public, they seemed proud of it. Basically, this report comes out, and now it's like, yeah, all this stuff about Trump Russia was fake. Clinton paid for this fake report, knowing it was fake, put it into the hands of the FBI, the DOJ, and the Obama administration. All of them read it, knew that it was fake, and went, we'll push it anyway. Affect the outcome of his entire presidency for the first term. So this was a huge soft coup by our government to screw over Trump. With these facts now added to the long list of formerly crazy conspiracy theories come true, Trump is essentially inoculated from any future prosecution by virtue of the public mistrust in an obviously weaponized federal government. Even if prosecutors somehow manage to get a partisan jury to convict, the public will see it as a political witch hunt predicated primarily on partisan politics, just like the whole, just like all of the other court cases against Trump. So, one thing's crystal clear: the Justice Department cannot and will not police itself. The DOJ is unwilling and unprepared to discipline, let alone prosecute its own. That's one reason the work of the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government is so vital. To restore its position as a co-equal branch of government, Congress must lose its reluctance to wield the heavy tools available in the law and the Constitution. It can and must develop an independent means of enforcing congressional subpoenas. So, here's the thing. I don't think anyone's going to be held accountable because Congress never does anything. I'll be heavily surprised. I think Taylor Greene put out some impeachments, not just Joe Biden's impeachment, but other impeachments in relation to the Durham report. I think it's Adam Schiff is one of them. So maybe something will come of this, maybe not. I have no idea. But I'm expecting that nothing will come of it. But we'll see. Republicans have been reluctant to wield impeachment power. Again, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I think that some have come through. Trump was never on the Russia payrolls, and it was just this whole soft coup concocted by the Democrats. And it affected his first 3 years in office. So this is a bombshell. It might be the biggest scandal or controversy since Watergate. And you're not hearing much about it. I mean, this article itself doesn't even really get into what the Durham report revealed. It just says it revealed corruption and here's all the things that can be done about it. But the basic lowdown on it is Obama knew, Joe Biden knew, the DOJ knew, the FBI knew, Clinton paid for a fake report, pushed it out, and all these other agencies went, oh yeah, yeah, we know it's fake, but we don't care because we don't like Trump. That is treason. You are sitting there trying to affect, through lies and deception, our governmental process, do elections, and then the entire presidency and its the office and responsibilities of the presidency through lies, deception. That's treason. And I think that every single person who knew about it should be tried. Most people won't agree with me. Most people won't agree that we need to go and charge Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Adam Schiff, all these other major players in this. But guess what? If we don't, and nothing happens, it will be a green light to everyone that you can just do this. You can just continue to do this whenever you want, however you want, and no one will be held accountable. What is that going to do to our elections, to our elected officials in office when they're trying to get things done? We won't have a country anymore. So, people need to be held accountable. In the same way that people should be held accountable for January 6th. And you might be like, well, but a bunch of the January 6th protesters and rioters are in jail. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about all of the FBI informants and FBI agents who basically made it happen. So, let's go over to this story here. An FBI informant who marched to the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boys members on January 6 testified on Wednesday that he didn't know of any plans for the far-right extremist group to invade the building and didn't think they inspired the violence that day. There's 2 FBI informants that basically said this. 3 FBI informants essentially came out and said, hey, I want to, give my testimony. All 3 of them, the day before they were supposed to testify, were stripped of their security access. And then 2 of them went on to testify and basically say, hey, we don't think that the far right had anything to do with organizing any type of violence that day. The informant, who was identified in court and in a court record only as Aaron, was a defense witness at the trial, former Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, and 4 lieutenants charged with seditious conspiracy for what protesters said was a plot to keep Donald Trump in the White House after the 2020 presidential election. The informant was communicating with his FBI handler as the mob of Trump supporters swarmed the Capitol on January 6th. So this is a informant. There were actual FBI agents that said similar. And I was looking for that, actually, and I thought this was that article, but different article. But basically, these 2 FBI agents came out and said there were FBI agents on the ground inside the crowd. And this FBI informant even is saying, hey, it doesn't look like any of these known far-right guys had anything to do with the organization part of it. And then on the flip side, you have the FBI agents going, yeah, we had guys on the ground. And now, based on what we know about the Durham report and how all of that went down, why on earth would anyone believe that it was not the FBI or other three-letter agencies that instigated this shit? Because here's the thing. The 529 insurrection, where far left protesters burnt down a church in front of, started a fire at a church and started a fire in a guard shack, and then made the president go underground into a bunker because they were trying to knock down the fences in front of the White House. That, as far as I know, nobody's been held accountable. All the people there, only maybe a handful had anything happen with law enforcement. But January 6th, people who just were let into the building by Capitol Police are spending 2 years in jail right now without charge or trial. What happened to the right to a speedy trial? So this looks like a plan to get voters out of the way, to get opponents to the Democrat stranglehold on government out of the way. Because they tried to screw Trump over for the entirety of his presidency by coming up with a fake story. And everyone in the government, all the way up to the former president, Obama, knew about it and said, that's fine. And now, including the FBI also had a hand in the Durham report. And now you're telling me that there were, in fact, FBI agents and informants on the ground during January 6th. And you don't expect me to believe that it's just another version of the Durham report where they're now sitting there saying, oh, all these people did X, Y, and Z, but there's videos of them not doing that and being let into the building, not being violent. And so make it make sense. Make it make sense to me why any of these people, aside from the ones who actually did crimes, should be in jail. Make it make sense to me why I should believe anything that the FBI or any other three-letter agency tells me. Make it make sense for me to believe anything that the government says. You can't. There is nothing that you can say that will make me believe anything that the FBI says. I will not believe the government. That's it. Now, we also have another story here where some people might actually be held accountable, but don't hold your breath. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene is introducing articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. Now, she has said that, I think, she said, the Georgia Republican said the articles would deal with Biden's handling of border security, accusing him of an absolute failure to protect the states. But she said that it was the first set of impeachment articles that she'll be offering against the president. So it's not the only set. I'm really hoping that she hits him with the whole Ukraine scandal, the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, and all of that in addition to the border crisis, because this man should be impeached like 4 times over. He admitted to doing illegal things with Ukraine. He admitted that to keep an investigation from happening, he basically blackmailed Ukraine. Then his son is this crack-addicted child pedo just like him, because Biden loves to touch and feel and sniff just about any female that comes his way, in addition to his dementia. And now you've got the whole border crisis where the federal government is not doing what they're supposed to, and it's at the behest of the Biden administration. So, yeah, he should be impeached. But those aren't the only people that she put articles of impeachment out for. She did multiple DOJ members, FBI members. Like, she's going ham with these impeachments. And I think they all should be removed because all of them revealed by the Durham report that they all had a hand in basically a soft coup against Trump. Impeach them all. Get rid of them all. That none of them are fit for office. None of them should be in office. Bye-bye. But again, probably not going to go through because, as we all know, Republicans have a hard time putting anything together like this, and when they finally do, you always have the other side is going to oppose it, but you always have rhinos who quietly oppose it. So I'm glad she's putting it together, but I do not expect it to go through, and I don't expect anyone to be held accountable. So, go figure. But I'm telling you right now, if no one is held accountable, it's basically the end of life as we know it as the United States of America. Because no one will trust the government, but the government will have all the power to just put whoever they want in, however they want, and pass laws that nobody wants or likes. So that's fun. Oh, and you know what? I don't have it up here, but I wanted to talk about this because I completely forgot. So I don't have like a story or anything, but we're just gonna talk about it really quickly. So the pistol brace ban that's coming up. That's fun. For those of you who don't know what a pistol brace ban is, it's basically a handicap device that goes on the back of an AR pistol, and now they want to reclassify all of those that have those equipped as short-barreled rifles, which are subject to the NFA. It's ridiculous because there's probably like 40 million of these things out there. So, just, I don't know, like a fifth of the U.S. population might become felons overnight. That's ridiculous. But even more ridiculous is it sounds like the ATF planned to be able to push this thing through. And here's why. So, at the end of the month, on the 31st to June 1st, the debt ceiling. We have a debt crisis. So, we either raise the debt ceiling or we default. And people in Congress are going to probably focus on that over anything else. Seems a little fishy that something like that would be pushed right, or the deadline for it would be put right at the same time as something like that, where Congress is going to be too focused to actually do anything about it. That's just a little too convenient for me, and I think the ATF has way too much power and needs to be reined in. Well, they shouldn't exist in the first place, neither should the NFA, but for the purposes of this, yeah, Congress needs to come out and say something. So if you've got a problem with that, go ahead and contact your reps and do something about it. Anyway, guys, all of this stuff that's been going on this week has been insane and ridiculous, and I have no idea what to make of most of it because it's like one week after another there's ridiculous crap coming out. But one thing that I can say for sure is don't buy a Ford, don't buy Bud Light, don't buy Miller Lite, and call your representatives in Congress to complain about the pistol ban and to make sure that the people who were involved in January 6th and the Durham report are held accountable for being traitors to the United States. Anyway, guys, that is the After Work Podcast. I appreciate all of you for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you can see when I post next. Anyway, guys, have a good night, and I will see you next week.